Hey folks, it's Darrell with the weekly Back 40 broadcast, and I'm in a new location. We're in a new home. We're doing new things, and so got starting to put together our little studio here where we're going to be putting together lots of videos for our Back 40 members and for our website. Anyhow, we're here every week meeting you right where you are to support you and us to create our second half as our best half of life. And the Back 40 is based on two premises. One is, like Frank Sinatra sings, the best is yet to come, and babe, won't it be fine? And number two, we absolutely claim that you have yet to do what you came here to do. And that goes for us as well. And so in the Back 40, we're creating a community and a mindset that is all about playing full out, playing our biggest games in the second half, because the first half was just research and development anyway. As we get into today's, and welcome, thanks for being here every week. We're growing and trying new things. We're probably going to try some new technologies with this broadcast as well, because one of our principles in the Back 40 is play first, which means rather than waiting until you have it all worked out and you have every I dotted and T crossed, you just get going. You just start moving on something. And a lot of times in the second half of life, because we don't want to not look good, or we don't want to fail, or we're afraid it might not work out, we don't just get going. We don't just move. We're kind of paralyzed. Whereas, people in their 20s and, they're just trying things, playing. And that's why you get so many great, wonderful technologies and things invented by people in their 20s. What we're doing here is we're trying to take on that same mindset of early age and let go of all the ideas of the years of when things didn't work and all of our past. We just reframe all of that. So go to our website, check out theback40.com, look at our blog, look at our videos. You'll see what we're all about here. But my point being is we're trying new technologies. We're playing. We've been playing with this for the last 6 or 8 weeks. We're going to try some other technologies and see how we can best get this message out to support you and everyone to create their second half as their best half. What I want to point out before we get going here is a reminder for those of you who already have seen this, bear with me, but we do have a couple new books on Kindle. The Birth of the Back 40, which is the story of how this whole mindset and philosophy came about, and also an expanded book beyond just the birth of the Back 40, Crisis or Opportunity, which includes not only the story of the birth of the Back 40, but lots of other people and how they've risen from the ashes of midlife challenges and to create their second half as their best half. Also at the very bottom there, you'll see a link to a wonderful interview we did a few weeks ago with Karen Glasser, head of Spark It Network, and she just is all about passion, and she just brought out our greatest passion in that interview. I invite you to go check it out and see what she's up to and what we're up to. And so today, if you don't get my weekly newsletter, sign up for it. Go to theback40.com and sign up for the weekly inspirational jolt note. You can also do that at careerguy.com. But the Back 40 is something way beyond career. The Back 40 is about all aspects of your life being best in the second half. But what I do is at 10 o'clock Pacific time every Wednesday, I put out a jolt note, and then I expand upon that inspirational message here. And so today, what we're going to be talking about, or we're going to be looking into, is this idea that I call flag planting. So if you remember, and I love this quote, Hey, we got 2 quotes in there. See, we play first. It's not perfect. How about that? Is that not perfect? Strive for progress, not perfection. And I've got 2 quotes on the front end. Hey, I couldn't have planned that better. Okay. But here's the idea is that, in the Old West, when they were opening new territories, you had these, cowboys would line up and they would have a land grab and they would just take off. They call the flag and everybody takes off. And then, you would jump off your horse and plant the flag. And this was going to be the land that the government was giving you to grow your crops and to colonize the West is what they were doing. And so what's the great metaphor here is this idea of actually being conscious to plant flags throughout our day and our week and our month and our year of our progress. Because the tendency is to really look at the fact that we're not perfect yet. Or, there's this gap. There's always if you're going to be playing big, and in the Back 40, we are playing a big game Back 40 future, and we invite others to design their big game Back 40 future. But there's where you are now, and there's where you want to be. And guess what? There's a big gap there. Most of the time, people are disempowered by the gap because they're seeing where they're not good enough at this yet, or they haven't mastered this yet, or they haven't become this yet. And it's real easy to point out how not perfect we are yet. And yet what is at the foundation of all growth, and especially for us in the second half, when we've got so much past that says, oh, I tried that before, or, oh, I sure don't want to look stupid. I looked stupid once before, or that's not me. And, I'm not that way. We have all these decisions made, and it really gets in the way of us growing. And so flag planting is really about acknowledging everywhere we can our progress. There's this idea in this the philosophy called law of attraction, called the closeness of the match. And what that means is we might be shooting for something that we want to achieve, and it didn't necessarily happen. But this did happen, like something close, or something that, is at least in the realm of what we were shooting for. Well, the tendency, especially I think as we get older, the tendency is like, oh, see, it didn't happen, as opposed to acknowledging the closeness of the match. Like, wow, I was shooting for this and this happened. That's pretty cool. At least by me shooting for that, I made progress and I got this to occur. And so one of the things we want to encourage is, as we all take on big games, we say you have yet to do what you came here to do. And that means if you're 40, 50, 60, even 70, 80, you still have yet to do what you came here to do. And therefore, it's going to require learning. It's going to require being open to still learn and to still grow and to not do things perfect. And therefore, planting flags. Planting flags every time there's a closeness of the match. Planting flags every time you make some progress. That is the kind of encouragement. And that's what we're building here in the Back 40, is a community where we are all about supporting each other to take those steps to make the progress. In our recent mastermind workday, one of our participants, she had acknowledged the month before that she had this desk that was just piled. She's been working on a book for a while, but she had this desk that was just piled with papers. And it was just totally impeding her making any progress. And to be honest with you, she'd kind of given up that she was going to be able to make any progress. When we first interacted with her in our workday two months ago, she was kind of defensive, like, well, that just ain't going to happen. But, and again, God bless her, we all have those voices of no possibility when we're, wanting to take something on, and especially as we get older. And you know what? she acknowledged on one of our calls that she had handled 2 pieces of paper. She had gotten 2 pieces of paper out of that stack handled. And we celebrated. Now you could say, okay, big deal, woo. But you know what? It's that kind of community, and it's that kind of ongoing celebration and planting flags of our progress that is going to support us to do what we came here to do. She's a lot closer to getting that book written now. So here's a few thoughts to consider around this idea today. First off, how much do you acknowledge your progress? I remember back when I was in college, I would get a, honor or some honorary award or certificate, or I would, get into this honor society, or I'd get some award. And I actually would put them all in an envelope. And my first thought was, okay, what's next? And again, that was just my, drive at the time was what's next, what's next? And I didn't even put them on the wall. I just, was of this opinion, what's next? And, I work with people in this Back 40 philosophy and in my coaching work. And there's a lot of folks who believe that if they don't keep that pressure on themselves, then they're somehow not going to get where they need to go. And I'm just going to offer that the more we can acknowledge and be that champion, that internal champion, there's so much more we will be able to make strides in. Look, as toddlers, we're encouraged to take our first steps. And then as adolescents, we're encouraged to try new things, stick with it. I know I got my son into almost everything when he was young. It was basketball, it was swimming, it was taekwondo, it was fencing. And, he would stick with it maybe 6-8 months. And it was just like, oh. And then finally, I gave him his first electric guitar at 14. And guess what? That did stick. But the point is, we're encouraged, right? And as young adults, we're even mentored and guided to develop new skills. And then, what happens? What happens after 40, 50, or 60? Who's there saying, hey, you can do this? What usually happens is there's this mindset in our society that says you've probably made of yourself the most you're going to make of yourself, right? And it's kind of a slide down from here or just getting by. And we just say that's bunk. Now, we do need to change our mindsets as 40, 50, 60, 70-year-olds in order to turn that cultural conversation around and really get out there and make something happen. But a big game Back 40 future of you doing what you came here to do is going to require new approaches, new tries, and lots of encouragement. So today it's really just about how can we set ourselves up? How can we set ourselves up to do what we came here to do? We're going to have an environment, a mental environment, a psychic environment, a spiritual environment, an emotional environment best poised to take on new things and to believe that we can really, one of the things we do in our Infuse program is we point out the names of people that you wouldn't have even known their names had they not done what they did in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. Wilford Brimley didn't even start acting till he was 56. Do you remember Wilford Brimley? He had the handlebar mustache. He started out with the Quaker Oats commercials. At 54, a salesman goes into a hamburger place, and he wasn't doing that well. He was sickly and everything else. He goes into a hamburger place, and he sees that they have a system, and then he ends up going into business with them. And guess what? That was Ray Kroc. He was 54. And there's so many of these that we point out. So look, if we do believe that we have yet to do what we came here to do, if we're going to play that game, then guess what? We want to set the environment up to support us, and therefore planting flags on a regular basis, even hourly if we have to keep that encouraging atmosphere is going to support us to do that. So here's a game to play this week. First off, again, how much are you willing to acknowledge? How much can you, or are you willing to? That's another question. And that does tap into sometimes the belief systems where people have it that they can't be all that pro on themselves, or they've got to keep the pressure on themselves, or they've got this kind of internal tape or internal system that's, says, hey, don't slack up because I'm watching you. How much can you, or are you willing to acknowledge your progress? And if you are going to take on a big game Back 40 future that we're encouraging you to take on in any of these areas or any others you want to take on, it's going to take you learning, playing, doing new things rather than what you have done in the past. So get a buddy this week to get you out of your mind. We want you out of your mind, okay? Because your mind is a dangerous place to stay in if you are looking to expand. You want to have support showing you what's possible outside of your limited views of what's possible for you. Determine some aspect of your big game Back 40 future to impact. Look at those areas. Is it around work, relationships, fitness, finance, dreams that you want to make happen? Get a Post-it or a small spiral, carry with you throughout the day, and just make a check mark. Make a check mark each time you take an action that forwards that game, that forwards that particular area of your game that you're going to impact. Follow up with your buddy, share. I'll tell you what, if you really take this on and y'all play with each other, you'd be amazed how this little bit of inspiration can have you start to move forward and make progress in what matters to you. And then post what you see on the Facebook community, the Back 40 Facebook community, and share with us. And we're playing this. This isn't just good ideas. This is, well, it is good ideas, but it is really the heart of the philosophy here in the Back 40 to support you and us to really turn this whole societal conversation around about when we make our biggest play. And we do not believe that at 40, 50, or 60, your best career, relationships, ingenuity, creativity, hot sex is all in your first half. We believe it's all coming. The first half was just R&D, and look out because the second half is where it's going to happen. So come back next week. We'll be here. Check us out at theback40.com. Download your top 10 tips for a radical second half. And we look forward to continuing to play with you. And I'll put up another quote here that I really like from C.S. Lewis. And it's really about, it does take getting outside the comfort zone, okay, to go make things happen that we are committed to making happen. But that pain just plants a flag of truth within a rebel fortress. And so I invite you this week to see where and how you can plant flags in your rebel fortress. And we look forward to playing with you again.
Oh, there's a feeling inside of me. It's telling me that I can be more and more of who I am. It's a power that says I can open up to the passion in me. It's a call to rise that's calling me to wake up to what I want to be. It's my time to claim my destiny. It's time to let go and ready to fly. Open my heart and reach for the sky. Starting today, I know the reason why. There's nothing I won't try. It's my time. It's my time. Don't let the world know that I can stand up and declare just who I am. It's my time.